Yeah, well, the culmination of the NFL season has ended with, of course, the new, reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champions are the Kansas City Chiefs after a decisive 38-35 victory against the Philadelphia Eagles in probably one of the best games in the year. A closed-in game, in fact. Possibly the Eagles could have won if they noticed that there was 2 quarters left of the football game, after allowing an unanswered 17 points in the fourth quarter, with around only 24 in the total in the second half, after closing out already a 2-score lead around halftime, with already questionable results of Pat Mahomes even playing over the reoccurring ankle injury he suffered since the divisional round. And knowing that that was going to be the major target all night, I was shocked that the Chiefs always evened the score whenever they were pushing over to the possession. Because we started over with a Miles Sanders touchdown. They were just so confident over to the deep ball. Almost any possession would have been a touchdown, and that was coming over like great in routes over to Devontae Smith, getting some good short routes over to Devontae Smith, or like scramble plays, read options. Devontae Smith, and this is coming over his sophomore season, over 7 targets, 9 receptions. Second most out of that was A.J. Brown. Dallas Goedert also. A good receiving yardage, but they were getting covered up over the backfield. Hurts was the leading rusher out of Miles Sanders' 7 carries, only totaling around 16 total rushing yards, only averaging 2.6. Boston Scott only had 1 first down over his 3 carries. And Kenneth Gainwell, I barely even noticed he was on the field. Whenever around the gainage, even the 2 touchdowns that they scored was over QB sneaks after one got recalled because Miles Sanders didn't get all the way into the end zone, so they had to push over for an option play, and then the other one was a sneak. But when the Chiefs got the ball, Kelce was just all over it. There was a 20-yard short pass over to Travis Kelce that went over to them getting a scoring drive all the way into the end zone after Isaiah Pacheco. And Isaiah Pacheco, he went for, I think, over 74 rushing yards tonight. He had some massive gains, but he got some big hits around the second half. It ends with Mahomes throwing a deep ball over a good wheel over around simple formation off single back. Kelce they just wanted to make sure Darius Slay was just a non-factor whenever routing over to the primary targets that are Travis Kelce for an 18-yard touchdown. I think their kicker missed 2 straight field goals over in the game, especially over to tie it up, and that was a major pivotal moment. Now I understand there was questions, a lot of questionable doubt that the Eagles were screwed over questionable calls when they called over that Dallas Goedert reception when he barely caught it over with the helmet, and barely the one-handed helmet catch. Even though Devontae Smith was in bounds, he barely had full control of the ball until he went out of bounds after McDuffie tackled him out of bounds. So guess what? It's called an incomplete pass if he's not getting it with 2 hands. It's a simple catch, guys. It's not one hand and it's done. That's not the rule on the field. Get over it. And this is coming over bewildered, fraudulent Eagles fans with their only chance out of the momentum they had with this dominant offense to win it all until they faced off against a team with an actual chip around their shoulder that they've been over the past 4 Super Bowls. Except from last year when it was the Rams and Bengals. Mahomes playing out of a lot of injury, controversy, and doubt over even making it over to the postseason, knowing Devontae Smith on the Raiders, Russell Wilson on the Broncos, and Khalil Mack on the Chargers still led the division and became the first seed over in the AFC. And around the second half, just outplayed it. After they had greater deep balls. I feel like McDuffie was just getting like outrouted, especially with that A.J. Brown touchdown that that just felt like he was just misreprimanded, and he was just focused on Zach Pascal instead of the number one receiver. That was just a ridiculous play for the Eagles to tie up over to that game. And a major factor came when the Chiefs score over a fumble recovery, and I think that really turned the tables when a major sack happened that got recovered by Bolton and got into the end zone until another forced fumble happened, and apparently it got reversed over as an incomplete pass when he caught it around the line of scrimmage. He still had full handle of the ball, and the ball got popped behind the line of scrimmage. That should have been a second touchdown recovery to get the lead over the Kansas City Chiefs, but no. Trent McDuffie was exceptional. Nick Bolton should have 2 fumble recoveries for touchdowns over the exceptional defense. And Juwan Thornhill, I didn't see much. L'Jarius Sneed was getting out-routed. If this was the Niners defense, but Pat Mahomes was their quarterback, this wouldn't have been close, I'm not going to lie. Even though how undisciplined the Niners defense was, they were still ranked higher over the 16th ranked Chiefs that were with secondary issues. Losing Tyrann Mathieu, Marcus Peters, a lot of depth over the rotation. Whenever it came to the deep ball, the Eagles were a lot better. But around the second half, the Eagles secondary just weren't good. There were so many receptions where Juju Smith-Schuster caught him off zags, in and outs, slopes, easy. It's either the Jalen Hurts was too over-reliant off hitting over the post, all because their secondaries were undersized, but good on getting the ball whenever the receiver's on it. You just have to make sure the guy doesn't catch it. And that came over that double coverage that Hurts had, or they were just too concerned over trying to catch him over to the hard count. You know why I think so? Because the Eagles underestimated the Chiefs. They know that they were a man down, the quarterback was done, and they were trying to take advantage over Chris Jones that was pressuring Jalen Hurts and getting him to run outside the play. That's why they were getting so many 3-and-outs whenever they were trying to scramble. He was trying to roll out, and they were barely a yard off or for the line of scrimmage. Sure, they didn't get much sacks on Hurts, but whenever it came to slowing down his momentum over scrambling over the field, they were more aggressive over their blitz calls, and they were getting 3-and-outs like it was no tomorrow out of 4 straight 4th down conversions that the Eagles had. So you got to give it up that the Chiefs defense improved heavily around the second half. Speaking about the second half, I did watch the halftime show involving Rihanna, and it's not like it wasn't nice seeing her with her little baby bump looking like Teletubby playing Super Smash Brothers on top of the scaffolding, always giving me like the most unattractive pretty face I've ever seen. I'm not gonna lie. Like, such a beautiful face with such a lack of personality. And A$AP Rocky got that pregnant. That is a bit hard to believe. Weirdo, kill me eyes. Like, Rihanna's like that poor girl you know is cute, but you gotta cover her face whenever having sex. Jalen Hurts did outpass Pat Mahomes, but Mahomes was just more consistent. Out of the 27 of 38. And only Mahomes had 27 attempts, but only got 8 incompletions. And only passed over for 1 touchdown. While they were heavily outmanned when it came to covering over the outside. Kadarius Toney had probably the best punt return in Super Bowl history. that pushed him over 5-yard range, that got him over a scoring drive for Sky Moore to come over a simple cut off the flats as a nickel and get an easy touchdown. And that's the second time they scored like that, because Kadarius Toney scored like that before, early into the game. And even Isaiah Pacheco over to get the extend over the lead over a rushing touchdown over to the end zone. And just like they did against the Cincinnati Bengals, when they finally got over their field goal, because I'm trying to remember their kicker's name, Harrison Butker, he missed one before. They go for the kickoff, and when 8 seconds remaining over to the play, they make the play call run until Jalen Hurts only had 5 seconds, so they need it. As soon as the Hail Mary prayer came up, he only got a 40-yard short because they already were on the opposite side of the field by then. So Jalen Hurts gave his best impression of Nate Peterman and flew that some bitch sideways, and it was incomplete. I gotta say, this was way more exciting, of high scoring as hell. And this is sad because I didn't get to see the last year's Super Bowl and get coverage over it, of course, because I was busy with work. But besides that, very entertaining Super Bowl. Not the best halftime show last year, obviously had to be good. Of course, Rihanna was restrictive because possibly she has another child because she kept rubbing her stomach. A young lady like her should not be dancing like a 40-year-old Caribbean woman still thinking that she's 24. It's weird. It's dumb. I'm not gonna lie. I'm controlling the plan B, Rihanna. That's just a pure fact. Mid halftime show, to be honest. Obviously, and this is a community note, and I don't like saying I told you so, but it's obvious that identity fraud is real. Identity fraud is real. Credit fraud is real. And Super Bowl frauds are real! And that is the Philadelphia Eagles, man. They were highly conservative around the second half when they were trying to push over hard counts. QB sneaks over on 3 and out, 4 and outs. Heavily congested on trying to push over to the option play when they were heavy on the blitz. They were setting over RPOs, and they were just way too malcontent and trying to feel like they can dominate off the run. It was possibly a questionable play calling of Nick Sirianni, and you can see why he was crying, because of course this was his first time playing Madden on Hall of Fame, when he actually plays a team above his league. Then dealing with a Niners team with with a health quarterback situation. If it wasn't for that, I feel like the Niners could have outscored him. And the Chiefs had to deal with having injury problems after facing off against a contending AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals team. And yet we had controversy over ref ball from that. And I don't know how. Bradbury came over 2 holding calls. Dallas Goedert came over, 1 questionable completion call. And they finally rewrited the wrong over Devontae Smith. I feel like the people getting more assisted around the playoffs, over the Super Bowl, was the Eagles, not the Kansas City Chiefs. So, any anointment of the Chiefs feeling like they were just rigged to get it all because Mahomes just had the higher resume to just build over. Yeah, you're just completely wrong, and you're just in denial because you either lost your bet, or you're a begrudging Eagles fans that already caused so much public property that you're already in massive denial. So, just take it with a grain of salt and go get a job. That's all I'm going to say. Besides that, the Eagles have nothing to be ashamed of. Losing the Super Bowl is one thing. Making it there is a lot harder. And especially with such a young core over such a crazy offseason. Having possibly the most dominant regular season the Eagles ever had since possibly their time with Carson Wentz in the quarterback helm, and possibly longevity with Jalen Hurts on the rise. Miles Sanders is possibly going to be questionable if he's still going to play over with the team, especially Darius Slay. A.J. Brown could still possibly put up a good production still. Devontae Smith has a lot of potential. He had a show-out performance. Dallas Goedert had some impeccable catches. Linebacking core was questionable, especially with the more dominant pass rush in the NFL from the Eagles, and they just felt like they could barely get pressure off. There was even one time, I don't know who it was on the D-line from the Chiefs, from the Eagles, but he wrapped up Mahomes. He wrapped up Mahomes in the middle when he was already escaping through the pocket. I think that was either I think that was either Maddox or not Marcus Epps, but somewhere or Fletcher Cox or Hassan Reddick that came over, wrap up Mahomes when he was ready to throw, flicks it over midfield, over a low pass to Travis Kelce, and he caught it for a first down. That was impeccable. And Juju Smith-Schuster with possibly one of the best Super Bowl performances in a long time. Sadly, I bet a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans are a bit upset that he didn't perform with Ben Roethlisberger like this. Of course, they didn't make a Super Bowl together. But besides that, the Eagles just didn't come to play around the second half. 11 out of unanswered 24. Especially when they were the percentage favorites to win by 2 scores, and the Chiefs just kept it close, kept it calculated, and just played better football. Certain teams just got to know how to play, keep it more dominant, especially with their superior pass game. Isaiah Pacheco was even rushed higher than Mahomes, than Jalen Hurts at this point. And Mahomes was getting over good scrambling yardage, especially over a 20-yard carry he had around over the red zone when they were pushing their second scoring drive around the second half. And this was still with an injured ankle. Mahomes was literally crying in pain around the second quarter, seconds before we head over to halftime. So, yeah. This just goes for all the other fans that just doubted the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm sure Jason Kelsey's not going to be happy in the next podcast. So we got a guy that sounds like Kermit the Frog being his 2-time Super Bowl MVP, already being the second, one of the youngest Super Bowl MVPs to be now the highest paid quarterback to win Super Bowl MVP, because I think he's still under a 10-year. $500 million contract. And people would say that would be buyer's remorse because of the Donovan McNabb contract that happened a few decades prior. But besides that, Mahomes, he's been highly more consistent. Been a winningest quarterback and already has the most Lombardis out of the Kansas City Chiefs franchise history. In only 27, so there's a lot more Mahomes could do over his career that could possibly eclipse a lot of Hall of Fame quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, possibly. And in such a short amount of time, already putting up statistics that not even all-pro quarterbacks like Brett Favre was even able to do, even though they have a significant same play style. I was expecting a lot more. Marquez Valdes-Scantling was possibly the most underperforming out of majority of the receivers here, because he only got 1 target and he was mistargeted. So they were just more complacent on Travis Kelce. That did score the opening drive touchdown, but that was practically it. He was just third down converter. At that point, Juju Smith caught over 7 straight receptions over around the third quarter. He was just in the fourth quarter. He was amazing. And Jerick McKinnon, of course, a good running pass option. Still getting some decent receptions, but I think he was stopped around the plays. I think the most innovative play I even saw from the Eagles that night was the forward screen that they gained over barely a first down in. And Boston Scott's immaculate footwork to get a first down when they were stopped 3rd and short. Devontae Smith, he could have won the Super Bowl MVP if this went right. Or Jalen Hurts. Of course, because of the QB narrative, because it's a more important position anyway. But Devontae Smith got some immaculate catches, was a major route runner over on the team, and he was just beating out defenders left and right. And A.J. Brown with that great touchdown catch he caught over McDuffie. That was a mismatch when we thought it was going to be off the target, but he caught it overhead, and it was a very good touchdown around the red zone. Zach Pascal was okay. Quez Watkins only caught one first down. Miles Sanders was possibly the most underperforming, being the leading halfback on the team, the starting halfback on the team, and your quarterback in your second string actually did more for the team. He was just getting contained over to the backfield. And I just feel like the defense barely did a thing. There was barely a stop of yardage from James Bradbury that already had 2 calls. Ndamukong Suh that had a face mask call around the red zone, around the midfield that got him an automatic first down. Hassan Reddick that couldn't even get a complete sack on Mahomes that got a first down. It just felt like this top defense is possibly the best that we're going to see the Eagles in a while. And there's been teams like this before. So, besides this could be having some longevity, but depending on how the offseason is going to go, I'm possibly going to be seeing a lot of 1-year to 2-year deals, depending if the Eagles can keep the same consistency, if the Giants don't make any offseason moves, if the Commanders finally get their head out of their asses, or the Cowboys are still willing to still think they're a contender, or they can finally get their head out of their asses and try to rebuild from the ground up. So none of these mistakes can be a consistency. Besides this, very good football game. I would recommend to watch again if you guys missed it, or watch the highlights, whatever you prefer. I always like whenever I miss a big game to watch it fully. So that's just my preference, but either way, you guys are seeing some good football, great entertainment. Super Bowl commercials were mid, but besides that, I was just there to watch the game and enjoy myself. Thanks for watching the DST show. Like, comment, subscribe if you like more of this content. And happy Valentine's Day. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be uploading around Valentine's Day. Thanks for watching.